excited to kick this off. Awesome. I see a few more people joining in. If you're able to turn on your videos, that'll be great. It's good to see some faces. I will be a small group and hope to keep this interactive. So if you have the bandwidth, please feel free to turn on your videos. Awesome. So at the circle, we are hoping to reinvent schools, after schools, and teacher training institutions because our vision is to ensure that every child, especially the ones who come from low income contexts, live a life filled with opportunity and choice. How we do that is through a bunch of different programs at our organization. One is a 2 year incubation for entrepreneurs who want to start their own schools or after school spaces. It's a very intensive program. As we speak, we are selecting the fourth cohort of that incubation. Parallel to that, we have something called the Circle Labs, which creates accessible programming, short term programming for teachers, innovators, school leaders, stakeholders across the board who care about reinvention, who care about envisioning a different future of schools. And we create a bunch of programming to ensure that they feel empowered, they have access to insights, tools, and even grants to try out their own projects. In June, we are going to be launching our third flagship program called Circle U, which started from the questioning of understanding that teaching talent is one of the biggest avenues that we need to solve for when we think about empowering young people and really giving young people the right education and resources that they need. So Circle U has been created to really serve that question and answer that question. It's a 1 year teacher training certification for teachers and teacher coaches, and we'll hear all about that today. You will hear about what the certification looks like, what is the process of it, what does the accreditation looking like. So we have Amalaya joining us, who is the director of Circle U and will be leading this program largely, and also Abbas, who will be going ahead and taking us through different parts of today's session. Abbas leads the network at the Circle. Basically, all our schools and after schools that graduate the Circle incubation, we hope to provide them lifeline support, and Abbas leads that work. Amalia and Abbas would be leading us today for the next 20 to 25 minutes. We'll get to see what the program looks like. A lot of you here, I know, are people who are thinking of applying for this program. So stay tuned to just get into the space of also interacting with Amalia and Abbas, which we hope to do by 7:30. So keep putting in your notes and questions in the chat. Let's keep this interactive, and we will try to answer all your questions as much as possible. Awesome. If it helps, do turn on English captions for you if that makes the experience better. Over to you, Amalya and Abbas.
Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for making the time. Abbas and I are really excited to be here and share a little bit about the program and then hear from you. Hopefully, answer any and all questions you have. I'll quickly introduce myself. Abbas, I'll hand over to you to then introduce yourself. So, I'm Amalya. I love teaching and learning. I did my Teach for India fellowship actually. I was teaching in Dharavi in 2017. And at the time, I wasn't sure whether I would get into teaching. I was looking to be a psychologist. And yeah, I fell in love with instruction, specifically literacy instruction. So working with students who are second language learners. Ended up learning so much from my classroom, and I went on to being a teacher coach. I led training at Teach for India for a couple of years with the training team, where I was also working on curriculum design. I've just completed my master's and have now joined the circle to lead teacher development here. So really, really excited to be here. Abbas, I'll quickly hand over to you as well, and then we'll take you through what we're doing today.
Sure. Thanks, Amalia. I see some recognizable faces, names in the group, so that's exciting. I've spent some time working with an education org called Avanti that helped get kids from underserved communities into premier colleges of the country, like the IITs and the medical entrance exams. I then spent some time at an org called Acumen, building community of social entrepreneurs and change makers and helping them with a leadership development fellowship. I completed a year at the circle recently. I've been mainly supporting our entrepreneurs post their incubation, as Amina said. But given that Circle U is such a pivotal moment for the circle, a lot of our team members are supporting, and like our labs team and our incubation network team is supporting our first cohort going live. And I'm supporting Amalia and her team with recruitment and admissions.
Okay, I'll start us off by sharing screen. Um, can I share screen? Yeah, okay. All right. Folks, just wanted to frame a little bit of what we'll cover today. Abbas and I hope to not take more than 20 to 25 minutes so that we really hold space for your questions. Ranjana, lovely to see you. Thank you for switching your camera on. If others do have the bandwidth, would love to see you and interact with you, but no worries at all if not. We thought we'll share a little bit about the evolution of Circle U, so where this idea even came from, and what the journey has been like over the past 3 years. We'll then deep dive into the program to tell you a little bit about how it's structured, what will be covered, who the program is for. And then we'll move to Abbas. I'll hand over to Abbas to sort of cover timelines and costs and answer any questions you have. Ria, lovely to hear that. Thank you so much for joining. We'll start off, folks. So as Amina shared, Circle U is our third pillar of the circle after our incubation and circle labs. And we envision this to be a teacher college and prep program that will fuel the system with more better prepared educators. We've been envisioning Circle U from before the circle actually started. And this came from the idea of wanting to supply our system with high quality educators who are prepared to reinvent. And a little bit on the process we followed over the past 18 months. So when the circle started, something we noticed was just as we worked with schools to say, talent is a bottleneck in our schools and after school. So while we're looking at reinventing schools, can we really also fuel the system with high quality educators and just support for educators being absent? When we look beyond, we realize that it's not just within our circle schools, but as a bottleneck in our system in totality, which is how we landed on the idea of, if we are talking about reinventing schools, what is the role that teachers and teacher coaches play in supporting that? Such a crucial critical factor. And can we set up a teacher college and prep program to work towards that? So a little bit on our process so far. We spent a lot of time just engaging in research with teacher prep programs in India. So we looked at the B.Ed programs, we looked at certification programs, interviewed people who lead these programs and people who lead expert universities and programs. And we just learned that there's so much focused on theory that teachers are walking into the classroom. Of course, I can. I'll get to that in just 1 second. When I say bottleneck, we mean as a challenge in our school. So when we're talking about student outcomes, or when we're talking about the challenges that we face in schools, one big challenge we identified towards delivering an excellent education to students, or a reinvented education to students, it is actually the lack of talent, or teachers not, and when we say talent, we mean teachers, coaches not feeling the most prepared to support students in challenging environments, especially in low-income communities. And so the idea of wanting to do everything we can to shape that and support that better. And I can share more after as well, but just essentially that idea of needing high quality talent. We also, so yeah, when we research, we just learned that a lot of focus is on theory and not that much on practice. And teachers are entering the classroom not prepared to navigate the reality of classrooms. We also did a needs analysis with our entrepreneurs within the Circle network and partners who run schools to really understand what was going well on ground and what support they needed with teacher preparation. Simultaneously, we've been studying teacher prep models abroad and in India to really see what high-performing teacher preparation programs look like and pull out principles and characteristics for us to really learn from. We interviewed a number of experts within the online learning space and people on ground who have just set up proof points of excellence, be it organizations or schools that are really reinventing. And teacher preparation models like Relay in the US or like I Am a Teacher in India, to understand what their programs look like and how they're leading to strong outcomes. Simultaneously, we were working with collaborating with partners for building the program and certifications. Just a lot of advisors who have been supporting us with what this program can really look like, what certification can look like, and what is the most feasible for teachers. And over the past 10 months, especially, we've been designing and refining our program model. Just wanted to share a little bit on our partners. Nayanta University is our primary partner. They are an upcoming university in Pune, also launching this June. And along with them, they will be co-designing this with us. And so the certification program is co-branded by the Circle and Nayanta. In addition to that, Arizona State has been an advisor to us over the past few years now. So they are advisors and supporters to us. And then, of course, Teach for India and Firki, which is the online platform that works in close partnership with Teach for India. For curriculum program, we also have other curriculum partners like Quest, who are coming on board to anchor pieces of the program based on their expertise. Sorry about that. I know at this point we may have questions. I'm going to request you to stay with me for another 10 minutes. If you have a burning question though, please post it on the chat box. My eye is there, so I can answer it. Yeah, so wanted to just share a little bit about our vision. And we're launching in June. So it's our first year, but in 5 years, we envision Circle U to be a school of education, actually, committed to high quality teacher preparation for educators, specifically in under-resourced communities, so in low-income communities. And we're looking at it twofold. One is to ensure excellent outcomes for students. So we're keeping the child at center and simultaneously redefining the role of a teacher. Now, what do I mean by that? Our goal is to make teaching as a profession more aspirational. From our understanding of the profession as well, it is looked at as, hey, you have nothing else to do, so you teach. But how do we actually acknowledge the role of a teacher, almost like teaching is a science, and redefine the role of a teacher over the next few years, make the profession really, really aspirational through high quality instruction and innovation. And so these are just proof points or goals we've set for ourselves over 5 years. So work with 2,000 educators, reinvent the role of a teacher, proving how they can be catalysts for systemic change. We really want to identify innovative practices that really work for children in under-resourced communities, and learn from those proof points or examples. We've set a goal for our student outcomes as well. And lastly, our hope is that we have a credible and recognized certification and diploma program. Thank you for your question. We will talk about just criteria for program, but I can quickly share that we don't have an age limit actually. So anyone can apply if you've graduated undergrad, and we'll talk a little bit more about criteria as well. I'll hand over to Abbas soon. Thank you for your question. This year though, we're starting with 250 educators. So we're launching 2 teacher training certification programs, one in June and one in November. We will be deep diving into the June program on this call. And we can do a follow-up in a month or so to talk a little more about the 6-month. So our 1-year certification flagship program, which is also what came to you via email, will serve 150 to 200 teachers and teacher coaches. So if you are a teacher or a teacher coach, which means you're an instructional coach, you work with teachers on a daily basis. Majority of these within our Circle network. So the idea came from starting to work with Circle incubation schools, but we really want to open up a few seats to our lab participants as well, because we work with you closely, and there's a lot that, yeah, we'd like to partner with you all on this. And this is a hybrid program, so I'll share a little bit more about what that means. Let's deep dive a little bit into this. Yeah, so we're not talking too much about this 6-month. This is launching in November. This is going to be a hybrid program outside of Circle Incubation in Mumbai and Pune. We'll share more about this soon, but today we'll be deep diving into number 1. So what does the program look like? And what are key offerings? Sajal, I hope I've said your name correctly. We'll get to both of these things. So how do teachers get selected, and the piece on break, we can talk a little bit more actually. Thank you. I'll acknowledge it here. Okay, so essentially, here's what it looks like in a snapshot. Yeah, in a year, we've designed a hybrid program. I'm giving you a heads up. The goal is that teachers are able to work in their full-time jobs while doing this program. So it's happening simultaneously. Which is why the purple that you see, June and November, are the only two parts where you are coming to us for residential training. These are high impact, these are intense because it's the only time you're coming in person. Foundations part 1 is what we're calling it. This is happening June. To clarify, it is 21 days for teacher coaches, Sajal, and 2 weeks for teachers. We'll give you the exact dates, but it's 2 weeks for teachers and 3 weeks for teacher coaches. You come on site in Pune on Nayanta's campus, actually. We do everything from big picture sessions. So we really induct you into the space. This is for teachers, understanding inequity in India, understanding reinvention at the circle, pushing your sense of possibility. So a lot of large big picture spaces followed by key core skills we believe every educator needs. Things like building relationships in the classroom, using AI for lesson planning and feedback, a few execution strategies you'll need, and we deep dive into math and literacy content specifically. We're also really trying for this to be based on practice-based instruction. So the way we've formatted it is almost you come, you learn something in that same session, you practice it with your peers, because the goal is also for you to learn from your peers and really master a few skills in teaching and learning before you leave. There are also a lot of spaces to connect with each other, to learn from each other, because of this idea of wanting to build connectedness in a cohort. And there's so much that you're already doing that you can learn from each other. So a space to also showcase what you're doing in your schools and learn from other people within the country as well. So yeah, we have within the circle incubation, we have folks coming from a Dehradun to a Punjab to a Kerala, two folks coming from Maharashtra. So just a lot of diversity within the cohort. I can actually answer that question here itself. Because it's only 2 weeks, there will be every Sunday is off, but otherwise it's a 6-day week. And the rationale for that is to just have as much covered as possible with a lot of practice. So we would expect you to stay with us on campus. Yeah, the venue is Nayanta University's campus. It's in Bavdan, and I can share more after this when we talk about logistics, but Pune is where this happens. Between July and October, then you're sort of set up for success to go onto site and practice. When I say on site, I mean your schools. So the school that you're currently working at or the center you're currently working at. You practice on ground. You will have access to asynchronous material that you engage with. There will be a certain amount that you will have to engage with from a certification lens and from really deep diving into your content and ped, and then some that are optional based on your bandwidth, because we acknowledge that you're also working, but we would like you to upskill. And there is a possibility, we're still working this out based on your demographic, of our team being able to visit you and provide coaching as well, or us to be able to map a coach to you at least for a visit based on your geography. An optional offering in the program is also an apprenticeship, where we sort of give you a stipend to go to an expert organization to shadow an experienced teacher for 10 days. There's just so much data and learning on shadowing experienced teachers, just being around them, being able to pick up practices and learning from another organization. Ambika, do you have a question? Sorry. Oh, okay. Amazing. All right. No worries. No worries. I was just unsure. All right. Great. Yeah. So just that is an optional 4 credit course that we're offering for you to actually go on ground and learn from another teacher. You come back to us in November. This is where we sort of, while June is more of the core teaching practices, this is the more innovative pieces like maker space in education or project-based learning, holistic assessments, where you get to pick electives aligned to your interest and aligned to what your school is working on as well. This is 1 week in November for teachers, a week and a half for teacher coaches. And similarly, you go back on site, you practice, you may have a site visit, you have asynchronous material to go through. And lastly, something called the innovation project, which is optional, but we're really excited about this. This is where you identify a problem statement within your school or your classroom, and you we support you with it, but you design to sort of solve it. So for example, if kids are behind reading grade level, in your classrooms, you sort of design a project around it, and this is your space to showcase, document, almost for us to build case studies around what we're learning from you. So next year, when we have Circle University in June 2026, we use some of your work and your case studies to sort of teach other teachers as well. We're hoping for you all to maintain portfolios, so that you can, one, from the lens of us being able to document your journey, but also for you to have pride in your work. As the teacher. This is just a snapshot. For coaches, I'll share in a minute, but this is slightly, the only difference for teacher coaches is that this is 3 weeks, because we also deep dive into coach specific strategies like observation and debrief, lesson planning clinics and execution clinics that you can hold for teachers, check-ins. When I say coach, I mean anyone who's on ground supporting teachers. So say Abbas, I'm a teacher in a school, in a circle school. Abbas is my coach, would mean Abbas is coming to my classroom to give me feedback on a daily or every few days. He's also sitting with me every Saturday to work on lesson planning with me. He's checking in with me and also setting overall leadership goals with me. Yeah. And coaches will also have online touch points with us in this period. And why we've done that is to say, if you're a coach in a site, you see us once a week, you come, you work on stuff with us, and you take that back to your teachers because you are actually the highest leverage person on your site. No worries if your school doesn't have a coach. We're looking at how that's looking like. Costs will be covered at the end of this. Thank you so much for your question. I'll be handing over to Abbas in around 7 to 8 minutes, and he'll take us through costs. Yeah, I've covered what the experiences are, but just exactly what you saw on the timeline. And this deck will come to you after as well, so you can take your time with it. But the apprenticeship and the innovative capstone project are choice-based, whereas here are the core experiences that everyone would engage with for certification. Just a little bit on the curriculum for teachers. So the way we've split it up is foundational, which would mean core strategies that every teacher needs, say building culture in the classroom, routines, procedures, etc. Method, which is primarily your content courses, core content classes. We're starting with literacy and mathematics, and we move to social studies later in the year. Someone asked a question, sorry, I just saw on the chat box, on whether delivery of instruction is English or what language. It's going to be bilingual. We want to make sure we're catering to folks who may not be completely fluent in one language. So English and Hindi. At the moment, we don't have the capacity to facilitate in other languages. So English and Hindi. And we're trying our best to make it as interactive and as pictorial as possible as well. So that is what we're looking at. Electives would involve the innovative courses I spoke about. And lastly, we strongly believe in the idea of working on key mindsets. And while teaching has so many skills, this idea of foundational mindsets for a teacher. So we've identified 5 or 6 mindsets, like purpose-driven, having a high bar of excellence for children, being continuous learners, that we will work on inner leadership spaces with you as well. Yeah, I'll answer that question. I would say on academic subjects, I would say that there will be parts of the program that is definitely applicable to you, because when we talk about like trauma-informed learning, we talk about culture in the classroom. Those are all the softer pieces that will be applicable to you. It will be like, as I said, 30% of this will involve content classes, so academic subjects as well. So that's just something to consider. And if it's, yeah, you can write to us to know more if you're interested in upskilling on those. Similar for the coaches, folks, we strongly believe that as a coach as well, deepening your instructional core, so having a deep understanding and upskilling in teaching skills is really important. So everything that teachers have, coaches are offered as well. Just simultaneously, you're also learning how to build that capacity and drive others to succeed, right? So how do I actually hold a check-in, set goals with my teachers, have feedback conversations, so on and so forth. And similarly, just the inner leadership component when it comes to like acknowledging my biases, working with people, holding tough conversations with people I'm coaching. For teachers, that would be more around navigating that with children, because that actually creates the base for how we interact with kids or teachers on a daily basis. And yeah, just lastly, of course, Bhumika, please share if you have any more questions and we'll answer them. Just four big things we're looking at since the circle talks about reinvention and really deep diving into how we can prepare kids and teachers for the 21st century. We're looking at leveraging existing curricular resources for lesson planning. What does that mean? It means if you come for the flagship program, you will have access to some curricular resources as a base. So then we focus on execution strategies and contextualizing these for you to suit your classrooms because there's so much available. So can we actually give you a base of plans, especially for mathematics, and you sort of spend time contextualizing, learning how to differentiate to suit different learners in your classroom. We are also experimenting with building capacity around AI. So very basic low-tech solutions, even on smartphones, because a lot of our participants may not have laptops, to strengthen the ability to plan. There's actually so much AI can do. So we also teach you how to use basic AI tools. The innovative project that you'd engage with at the end of the year is a way for us to learn from you, for you to showcase what you've learned on ground, and to sort of build case studies around with. And lastly, we're really excited about this idea of you can come to us and learn from us, but in addition to that, you can go on ground, learn from an expert organization that is very aligned to what your organization or what your school prioritizes. Say you're looking at upskilling in math instruction specifically, there are specific organizations we'll help you identify, and then we'd give you a stipend for the same. Fatima, for now, great question, I should have mentioned. We're looking at pre-K, so kindergarten to grade 8. At the moment, we're not catering to secondary. That's 9, 10, 11, and 12. And our hope is to be able to do that in the next couple of years. But when you come in for training as well, there will be separate tracks. Induction will be everybody. And then you're split into one group goes to the preschool track, one to elementary and one to middle school. And the rationale for that is strategies do look different across. And we want to try and cater to your needs as much as possible. So yeah, I would say grade 7 or 8, not relevant for grade 9 and 10. Who is this program for? I know we've covered it, but for teachers and teacher coaches, what teacher is this relevant for? I would say primarily we are looking at teachers who are within 0 to 18 months of their tenure, because of the strategies we're teaching are mostly towards pre-service. Having said that, we do have teachers who have signed up and who will be attending who say have taught for 6 or 7 years, but are really hoping to upskill on 21st century skills or are hoping to upskill on some of the pieces we shared. And if anyone has more questions, we can share more details on the curriculum, but which is why we don't have an experience cap or an age cap for the program. You've heard the skills I spoke about. So if you feel like, hey, you know what, I've taught for a while, but I would like to upskill on those and learn from educators, this program is still very much welcome to you as long as you think it's relevant to you. And then teacher coaches, anyone who is coaching teachers instructionally on ground, whether it be goal setting, feedback, supporting teachers to maximize their practices to support student outcomes is what I would say. Abbas, I'm going to hand over to you. Abbas will take us through seats and costs, and then we'll pause for questions. Whoever we haven't answered in the chat box, we will make sure to answer your questions. Abbas, I'll keep sharing screen. Is that okay?
Thank you so much, Amalia. पानी पी लो पानी पी लो थोड़ा. Okay. Thanks everyone. Crazy. Amalia's been juggling the questions in the chat and sharing. So I'll take a step back a bit, right? I think we have the incubation that many of you might be familiar with, and we have 30 models across the incubation that are currently across the country. There are two cohorts of the incubation that have already graduated, and a third cohort that's in the incubation currently. They collectively have about 100 teachers in their programs that will be part of Circle U's foundational cohort. The process for them is been that the entrepreneur in residence or the partner decides from their teams who comes in. They ask their teachers or their teacher coaches to apply, and that process has already started. And that has happened, and we've reserved about 100 seats for them. Um, Thank you, Amalia.
Sorry.
We've reserved 20 seats, and this could change depending on how many applications we get in the next 5 days. We've gotten some applications from Labs alumni already. We've reserved 20 seats for Labs alumni at the moment. I'll explain what that looks like or what that means. We've reserved 40 seats for partner organizations. So organizations that have been working closely with the circle, who've been supporting the circle through exposure visits to their schools, or have been partners like Unifly Collective or Somaya Education Institution and so on. So they are nominating their teachers and teacher coaches to apply. And there would be some that might apply that we are not familiar with, and there'll be limited spots for them because it's the first year. We want this to be a little bit of a contained environment, and it's not open for absolutely anybody to apply because we just want people who we know, and we know a little bit of context about the teachers and why it is important for their growth to be a part of our first cohort. Um, the costs are that broadly, from a program, facilitation, curriculum of the entire year-long program, accommodation for 3 weeks, two in June and one in November, and meals. All of this comes up to about 1.3 lakh rupees. For our incubation schools as well as our labs alumni, there is a scholarship process that will get this at almost no cost or 100% scholarship. But all you will have to do is fill a scholarship form because we have a funder that is covering this cost. And the funder is covering this cost because the teachers are working in under-resourced communities, right? So that's data we'll have to report back. So there'll be a simple scholarship form to be filled out, and this cost will be of no charge. However, to and fro to and fro travel, which is from your base location. So Sajal, if you are in Kolkata, from Kolkata to Pune and from Pune back to Kolkata has to be borne by you. And this applies for everyone coming to Circle U. Even if it's a teacher at one of our incubation schools, the entrepreneur is covering this cost. If you're a labs alumni, you will cover your own travel cost. If you're a partner organization, also you will cover your travel cost. Some partner organizations are sponsoring part of their team costs. So some of them will be helping us with some costs. But if you're a school and you don't have an L&D budget, we're not expecting the school to pay us on behalf of the teacher. So this will be free provided you fill out a scholarship form. Um, the we're currently factoring 175 seats, including teachers and teacher coaches. So that's why you see this current split, because that's the capacity we are solving for, which is why there is an upper limit to the number of labs alumni that we'll be able to cater to in the first cohort. Amalaya, if you can go to the next slide. Due to this, thank you. Just stay here and then I'll ask you to go back. The process for labs alumni. So if you're a school leader, we would ask you to get your teachers or your teacher coaches to directly apply and fill the form. I'm going to give you the link to the forms in the Zoom chat, and we'll put it in the labs event group if you're on there. And if you're a school leader, you need to just send an email nominating team members, because let's say 7 people from your school apply, we're realistically only going to be able to accommodate one or two. And we'd love for you to decide who might benefit from this the most. And the hope is that whoever comes in is able to take some of these learning materials, resources to back to your school. And hopefully we'll be able to intake more of your teachers in the subsequent cohorts. Instead of us choosing, we want you to just tell us who you think would be chosen as top priority. The difference between teachers and teacher coaches is that a teacher is directly teaching in a classroom in your school or program. A teacher coach might be spending some time teaching directly, but is mainly helping build capacity of teachers. And what they will experience in the program as well is capacity building for supporting other teachers in their program. So there would be a little bit of a difference, and there are two different forms, a different form for a teacher and a different form for a teacher coach. I'm going to give you these email IDs as well in the chat. Amala, if you can go one slide before. In terms of application timelines, sorry, just the slide between this. Yeah. Uh, Applications will close by the 10th of May. So there's 5 more days to apply. And we will communicate the final shortlist with offer letters to your teachers by the 15th of May. From timelines, if you're a teacher coach or your teacher coach will be coming, they need to be at Nayanta University campus by the 1st of June, because the first 3 days will be training for the teacher coaches on the work or the role that they will play in the program. Teachers will be expected to arrive by the 4th of June, and they will stay on till the 18th. The teacher coaches will be with the teachers, and they'll be mapped to certain teachers through the program. After the teachers leave, the coaches will stay back for additional debrief, learnings, reflections, and then they will leave by the 21st June. So for teacher coaches, it's 3 weeks. For teachers, it's um, a little close to 2 weeks. And all of this is in the Nayanta University campus. Um, Bhumika, to your question, we recommend that the teachers or the teacher coaches stay together with us in the accommodation. Accommodation will not be on Nayanta campus. Accommodation will be about 20 to 30 minutes away from the Nayanta campus. We recommend that they stay together because a lot of what we are hoping to happen is community building amongst teachers. We're hoping that, to Amalia's point, teaching as a profession becomes much more recognized. A lot of our teachers feel like they're lonely, they're in silos, right? But we want them to build relationships with teachers across India. A lot of that will happen in the evenings. We'll have informal spaces and mail us for teachers to sort of just have downtime, play games together, show innovative practices that they've been doing in their schools, bring artifacts, etc. A lot of that will happen after session hours, right? And sessions will go on till 5:30, and then teachers will be transported back to the campus where everybody will be staying together. So we would recommend that you stay on campus. Accommodation and meals will be covered by us. Yeah. So I'll pause there and now take any questions. We can stop sharing. I recognize that this is a little tight. And if you're a school leader, we recommend that you get your teachers to apply, have a conversation with them first, um, make sure that they're aligned for the whole year and not only June, and then get them to apply and then just send us a nomination email.
Ambika, thank you for your question. I can take it. I'm actually just gonna give us 2 to 3 minutes or 1 minute to post any more questions we have in the chat box so that we can look at trends and try to answer the ones that most people have. So I'm just gonna ask you to hold on to your question for a minute, Ambika. Folks, if you could populate the chat box with any more questions you have, just so that we can try and take as many as possible at once. Okay, so I'm seeing questions on the certification. Okay, so let me start by answering some of these. Abbas, please come in at any point. So Ambika, the certification they'll receive, it's a 1-year certification teacher training program. Will be co-branded by Nayanta University and the Circle. And that is if they complete or graduate from the certain number of credits that we expect them to. To answer your second question, 100% the 2 in-person residential spaces, we need their full commitment and participation. We also identified those 2 blocks in the year because June is when most schools just about start, and entrepreneurs especially shared that being the most available period, which is why those 2 blocks came from. In addition to that, I would say approximately for teacher coaches, I would say once every week around an hour and a half of sync for coaches. For teachers, I would say around 1.5 hours for teachers every week, asynchronous. No synchronous for teachers this year, or maybe a certain amount, maybe once every 2 weeks. We're still determining that, and that's also coming from when teachers apply, we're asking them to fill out availability as well as tech accessibility, because we don't want that to come in the way. So that is also something we're determining, and we want to be a little flexible around. However, there will be, say, maybe 10 hours or 20 hours of asynchronous time between June and November that they'll have to complete, you know. So it'll be more on a across 3 months versus a week for teachers. The program for coaches online is more rigorous. They will be expected to attend sync sessions as well. For teachers, it'll be more spread out. If that answers your, and we can put this down and share with you as well. I feel like you have a follow-up question, so ask. Yes,
My face showed it all.
go
I
ahead.
do. The certification, is that a government recognized certification?
Not at the moment. No, at the moment, it's Nayanta is a private university. So
Okay.
it's not a government certification. At the moment, we are looking at working in partnership, but not at the moment. So no.
Okay, okay. So if I understand correctly, it'll basically be a certificate from the university which says you have had 1 year of, I guess, either the preschool, pre-K, or the middle school or the primary track training. So,
Correct.
okay. Thank you. And then the second question with follow-up with regard to the asynchronous learning. So in terms of content, would it be assignments, or what kind of learning would that involve?
Yeah, no, that's a very good question. So even the way we're looking at assignments, we're actually trying to do as much of practical work as possible. So when I say that, I mean like, can you record a video of you teaching and submit? Can you submit a lesson plan to us at the start of the program, after 4 months of the program, and after for you to see your growth as well? There will be some paper and pen, but I would say if you asked me to break up percentage, I would say 15 or 10% of assessments will be like paper pen. It will mostly be like projects to submit, or part of their portfolio is what we're calling it. When I say online, it'll mostly be like asynchronous packets. And we're also piloting to see what asynchronous packet works with teachers, because very often you have programs where I've also been a part where you have to complete it and you complete it to get it done, but it's not actually the most valuable. So we'll also be collecting feedback over the year to see what that looks like. But in a nutshell, I would say asynchronous packets that are interactive, that say at the end, ask you to say, design a differentiation strategy for your class, place that on a deck, submit that, versus say, write a paper on this. So it's not very paper and pen heavy. There will be some paper and pen component, but that's minimum. And like a lot of videos, a lot of the hope is that it says you learn something asynchronously, you go pilot it in your classroom tomorrow or this week, and come back and submit that to us, versus say write a paper on say data driven instruction, if that answers your question. So it's going to be a range, but the hope is that it's like a collation of artifacts that they can explore. And even the async packets, I would say the way we're looking at theory and practice is, can we infuse theory into just relevant theory, essentially. So I engage with theory, I see a video or I look at an artifact, I study a lesson plan, decode it, think about how to make my practice better, and sort of write a prompt to close the loop of like application versus just rote learning, essentially. Yeah, if that answers
So
your question.
it does. It's helpful. Just so I think one thing I'm still unclear about, the pedagogical content, with new pedagogical content, is all delivered during the in-person sessions, not during this June through October. It's that's just, those would be like um, learning prompts and projects to practice what they have already learned. Am I understanding correctly?
It'll be like 80% of it will be practice for teachers. For coaches, it's
Yeah.
going to be like new content through the year as well.
Yeah.
And the idea is like, say there's a session on data-driven instruction. We actually do that with the coaches to then take the teachers on site.
Okay.
We are going to pilot one or two new, like intro to completely new pedagogical practices online to see how it goes. But like a differentiation, for example, we wouldn't want to do purely in a packet form. We'd get them in November. So it's more, you've learned something in June, you're really deep diving into that. And maybe things like, okay, designing my weekly timetable, skills that are slightly softer that I learn on the online track. Also, we're looking at the online as a way for them to come together and share, saying, hey, I went back, I applied. Now I'm coming to share and refine my practice. But the new pieces I learn in person. And if I have a coach on site, then with the coach on site. We are offering async on-site visits as well, but honestly, it's mostly to folks in Mumbai, Pune, and we can explore based on your demographic just from a bandwidth angle. But if it's something you request for, we can try and make it work. Where say then we do a decontextualized workshop suiting your school's needs, also acknowledging that every context looks different. But that's more a one-on-one conversation to have. It's something we're offering to our incubation schools at the moment. And if lab participants are in demographics that we can access easily, then yes.
Okay, thank you. That makes it much more clear. Thank you.
Of course. Okay, Abbas, I see you've answered a lot more questions on the chat box, so thank you for that. Someone asked for the scope and sequence curriculum. It's something we can share via email, so you can write to us and we can give you access to that. That is also ever evolving. We're looking at it as 90% of it is set, but we are also taking feedback, looking at refining it. Usha, you have a question?
Yeah, actually, I have one question. I'm going to start my own evening school concept in which I'm properly based on Tamil Nadu in Coimbatore. So, in my home itself, I'm going to start with the evening school concept in which a normal syllabus can be taken into the practical mode. So, that's what I'm focusing on from June once the school starts over here. So, I'm going with it. Am I eligible to apply this?
Are you going to be teaching / have you been teaching in the past?
Yeah, 5 years I'm a teacher. 2 years I'm a kindergarten teacher and then a primary teacher. And 5 years I have taken tuitions for kids also. It's like a practical education based learning only. But right now I'm doing my Seva International Fellowship. I'm in my 1.8 years, 8 months is over right now. 2 months is balanced. But I came back to start my own project over here. So am I eligible to apply this? I doesn't know that.
You're definitely eligible, Usha. I would talk about like what your role in the school is right now. If you're playing more of a school leader role, then I don't know how relevant the program will be for you. If you're playing more of a coach role where you're going to be coaching teachers, then apply for the coach track. And if you're going to be teaching on a daily basis, so you're looking at deepening your teaching skills, then you apply for the teacher track. So I would say look at what your role is. And again, write to us and we can answer more specific questions. But you are eligible for the program. I would just look at what the curriculum is, and it's not currently catering to school leaders. We're asking school leaders to nominate teachers and coaches. So if you want to deepen your pedagogical and content skills for a certain grade area, I'd recommend you apply. If you're going to be coaching teachers, I'd recommend you apply.
No, I'm going with a volunteership actually. Some of my students are there already. They are working, they are right now students in a colleges. So they will be the part of my, we are planning to do this. So I need a training for them actually. I'll train them, but even though I'm planning to make them to go with the different exposure so that they can have this much clarity on this. That what I'm thinking of. That's why I asked you, is it possible to apply for this?
Yeah, why don't you write to us, Susha, and we can take it from there. But I would say if your volunteers are going to be full time, if they're committing to you for the next 1 or 2 years because you're investing in them, we'd invest in them. So if you really feel like it makes sense and they'll stay as teachers for the long term, I would recommend you nominate them. If not, I would recommend you come yourself and take it back to them. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. Thank you.
Of course, Gayatri, thank you for your question. Okay, Abbas, am I missing anything?
No, I'll just voice a few things, right? So firstly, thank you for all the questions. Please write to Circle You Admissions. I've given you the email ID. In case, like, because we may miss some of this, some of the applications have come in and we are processing all of them. We're just trying to get all the applications in by the 10th and then take decisions. We will have to prioritize those that we've been working more closely with, right? So if you've been a part of multiple labs programs, right? Then like it just makes sense to envelop support for people that we've been working really closely with already. And then as we have more intake capacity to be able to take more people. So if we are rejecting you, it's because we have capacity constraints, but because now you're in the circle community, we're hopefully going to have more and more programs for you. There's a lot of labs programming that happens. Join the labs event group that happens. There's going to be another program, a 6-month program for teachers in and around Mumbai and Pune. It hopefully try and prioritize you for that. Scholarships are going to be open to everyone that we are familiar with, right? So if you are a part of the Circle Network School or a Circle Labs program, you will get a scholarship as long as you fill the scholarship form. And if you're part of an organization that we are partnering with, then they'll be coordinating with us for the fee payment on your behalf. So we're trying to ensure that teachers working in under-resourced communities, you'll get the scholarship form as soon as you get the offer letter as well, right? All of that you will get over email, provided you're in, right? So with the offer letter, you'll get all of that. Um, yeah. So we request your patience over the next 4 to 5 days. A lot's going to be happening with the deadline. I'm going to give you a contact number as well uh, when you fill in your application. So you're going to get a help desk to be able to reach out to. We're going to help with like travel coordination and when are you going to be arriving and stuff. So once you're confirmed to attend, then we're going to take the conversation much more hands on. The coaches also, the scholarship applies for both teachers and teacher coaches. Yeah. Um, if you feel like you've got everything you need, you can drop off. Those who sort of feel like their questions are unanswered, you can just start voicing them.
Hi.
Ambika, good to see you. We've got tickets confirmed for everyone from this. My invitation. I was at Shrey's site, Sura, a Circle founder, and he was saying that he's actually staggering it. Right, he's not sending all teachers in one go. He's saying that he wants to use it as a motivational tool for teachers. Right, so I'm going to nominate 2, 3 who've done really well, who are showing openness to learning, and then I'm going to nominate 2, 3 the next year, but some are like the whole jing bang is coming, and we are excited. Uh, yes,
Thank you.
thanks,
We are
Ambika.
very excited too. Thank you so much. Best wishes.
Amazing. Yes,
You.
Mahalakshmi by the 15th of May, everyone will get uh, uh, confirmations. Priya,
Hi. So actually, I am a fellow in a school as a TFI fellow. So
amazing.
do I need any reference or any recommendation from any other person in from my organization to apply for the coach role?
Um, are you going to into your second year?
Yes, I am going in my second year. I'm officially in my second year now.
You're officially in your second year, right? And which
Right.
city are you in?
I'm in Delhi.
Delhi. If you can get your Delhi program team to just write us an email saying you are on, say, a growth track, right? Either you're going to become a fellow advisor or you're going to be having an additional responsibility where coaching is going to be a key aspect for you. If we can
Okay.
get them to sort of tell us, then we know that the coaching is being supplemented, right? So whatever we are offering is going to be very useful for the role that you're already going to be in. Because in TH India, from my understanding, some fellows are on a fellow advisory track where they're already supporting year one fellows, right? So that is complementary and supporting you. If you can get a program manager, somebody to just quickly give us a short email recommendation, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Friends, I'm just going to pitch in for 1 minute. As you guys are asking your questions via chat or voicing them over, I'll just be quickly circulating a poll. You should be able to see that on your screen. Just take 2 minutes to just fill in your responses in it. Yeah. All right. Yeah. Should be able to see it. A couple of responses coming in. I'll just keep it open for maybe 15, 20 more seconds. Okay. Thank you. Thank you for accepting it. I think we're good. Handing it over to you, Abbas and Amalia.
Thank you. I should have said that before. I said if your questions are answered, you may leave because I was conscious it's been a long day for many of you. So yeah, I've dropped the email ID. You know the labs team. Reach out if you have questions. We know it's a little last minute. Apologies. If you're a teacher, please talk to your school leader or principal before applying. Like they need to be invested in your growth. They don't have to see this as leave because then your leaves in the year will get cut. They should be seeing this as part of your work, right? This is core to your work. So they should be investing in your growth. So definitely align with them. And if you're a school leader, nominate your teachers. Thank you so much. Thank you, Shabana. Take care. Good night, everyone.